got you here won't get you there. It's published a little over 15 years ago, and it remains amazingly successful. In a survey of CEOs in the United States, I was happy to say the book was ranked one of the top 10 business books ever written in history. So I've been very, very amazed at the longevity and success of the book over time. What's been changing in the last 15 years? One thing, I think the behavioral aspects of leadership have not become less important. They've become much, much more important. Today, anything leaders say can be put on the internet, social media, much more important than it was 15 years ago. So leaders today have to be especially careful about how they act, how they look, how they talk, and the behavioral relationships that they have with their direct reports have become more and more important than ever before. Over COVID, I had the privilege of spending 600 hours with my friend Mark Thompson, with 60 great people, and they discussed their lives. And one of the important things they discussed is the importance of being sensitive to the way they talk, being sensitive to the way they act around their direct reports. So I would say that has become much, much more important than ever. Another challenge leaders face today, more than ever, is focus, distraction, social media. So many things going on in their lives, it is very, very hard to keep in focus. So a lot of the discipline discussed in the book is also very important. Things like looking at your life every day, thinking about discipline every day, keep it in focus every day. It's not easier than it used to be. It's much more difficult than it used to be. So I think leadership today is much more of a challenge than it's ever been before. The messages of the book, what got you here won't get you there, have become, I think, increasingly important over time. A major change that's occurred in the last 10 years is online communication has become much, much more important. Many people don't come to the office. Many people communicate online. Many people seldom interact in a face-to-face interaction with their managers, that much fewer than used to. As this has happened, communication has not become less important, it's become more important. Why is it more important? Because it's more difficult. When you're around people all the time, it's a whole lot easier to interact, to communicate, to be with them. When they're not around that much, very important to be clear on things like, where are we going? What's the mission? What are your objectives? How do they fit into this larger mission? What's going well? What needs to be done better? And also managers focusing and reaching out on how can I help? In a world of online communication, this has become much, much more important than ever before. So I think the messages in the book about communication, especially relative to online communication, are much more important than ever before. Also, leaders need to be very aware of not just what they say, how they look, because nonverbal communication is very, very important. And when you communicate online, like it or not, things can be copied, they can be recorded, they can be sent to other people. And a lot of our communication with people is not just what we say, it's how we look. One of the things that I find in my job, for example, when I coach CEOs is, you think about a CEO job as a glamorous job. In many ways, it can be a boring job. You have to sit there and listen to presentation after presentation after presentation. You have things on your mind, you've been busy. You've probably seen the presentation 20 times before. What I have to teach CEOs is this: you always need to communicate a sense of caring. You've heard the message before. You know what this young person is saying. You're bored to death. It doesn't matter. You need to communicate that sense of caring. And that is not being a phony. That is being a professional.